A plus, A if you're in recovery. Nobody remembers my name, so I'm a psychiatrist, I'm an integrative psychiatrist. So that means that I do holistic kind of care. So we look at the root cause, what's bringing you, transgenerational, your diet, relationships. We're much more than our genes. There's a whole lot of things that go on into our lives and relationships too. So, and as we start, I want you to take a deep breath. And as you do that, I want you to connect and breathe into your heart to something very important to you, something that you value. So, just breathing in deep, deep, deep into your heart. And just visualizing taking that all the way into your soul. Maybe a quality that you have, a person that you love, a pet, a hope for the future, something that's important to you and that you value. And I want you to imagine that it's not just in your heart. It's percolating all the way through your body. Through your hands, your feet. You can imagine like you're a tree connecting all the way down to the earth. To the very, very center of the earth. I want you to stay with that feeling, going back to it as we do the talk today. And as you slowly bring yourself back into the room. So, the talk today is about the wisdom that we glean, that we learn from trauma, from what happened to us. The title that I had for it was, let's not talk about what's wrong with you, but let's talk about what happened to you. So when you guys hear the word trauma, what comes up to your mind? Violence. Mm-hmm. Fear. Mm-hmm. People a lot of times think of trauma as something that's violence, fear. They think about it as something big, like a car accident. Anybody watching something happen that's scary is a form of trauma. And that's what we call big T trauma. So when it's something very big, everybody who sees it, and that's trauma. But trauma can be something very small. And by virtue of being human, being in this life, trauma is going to happen. And trauma is any time where we felt, our nervous system has felt unsafe. So, let's just say you were crossing the street and somebody almost got hit. They didn't get hit, but they almost got hit. Your nervous system saw that, and that put your nervous system on alert, because you don't know if it's going to happen or not. In that split second, there was fear, just like what Leslie said. Trauma can be, I had somebody the other day, we're doing singing bowls, and she said that, if I remember, she was saying that she was told that her voice was loud growing up, and so she learned to bring down her voice. And in that kind of, I don't know if it was in a class or in a family or something, but in that kind of system, this person who had something to say learned to make herself small in order to be accepted. That form is a form of trauma. Any time when we felt unsafe, unaccepted, rejected, could not show up as we are, having to hide, all these are signals to the nervous system. It is not safe for me. Now I need to do something in order to become safe. So you don't have to think about big things. A lot of times people thinking scary things. No, something very small. And by virtue of being human, all of us in this room have undergone something. So the question becomes, how do we learn from it? And what kind of things can we learn that will make us enrich us? Because it's going to happen to us anyway, but we can turn it into something good and repair our nervous system. But it's important that we learn how this nervous system works, because if you know how it works, then you know how to read yourself and what to do. So the nervous system has 3 things that it does when it's under fear. Again, it doesn't matter what kind of fear it is. That little PowerPoint today not working, I had a little bit of fear. I had a little bit of, oops, I tried, what's going on? So the nervous system does three things. One of them is it goes into what we call fight or flight. I either have to fight the situation or leave. So in this kind of presentation, I can't leave with my PowerPoint shutting down. I can't fight with Drew, but I felt frustrated. That's a fight kind of response. It sounds very simple when we talk about it, but inside the nervous system, it's a storm there. What am I gonna do? It's not working. So I fight, flight, stay and argue and get angry or leave the room. The next time something happens like that and I can't get out of that situation, my nervous system goes into shutdown. So people talk about I'm checked out. I'm not really there. I feel numb. I'm going through life, the motions, but it's not clicking. I'm not enjoying this. It's not meaningful. So that's a shutdown nervous system. The third part or response of the nervous system is what we call freezing. Freezing is you're there, but nothing's coming up. That's when people say, I can't get myself to do anything. And it looks like very much inside. People can't see it on the outside, but it's something that we carry inside of us day to day. And these are internalized responses. And so learning to know, where is my nervous system? Am I fighting or flighting? Am I numbing, kind of checking out? Or am I freezing? When you know that, then you recognize, you know what, I'm somewhere on the spectrum. Now I can do something about it. My nervous system got triggered. And awareness is the first thing that we can do in order to change what's going on with us. Now comes the next thing. So now what do? Where do you guys think trauma lives? That's one place, in the mind.
In various parts of your body.
Yep. Trauma stores itself in the body. Trauma loves to hide in the body. And that's where people will say, I have a lot of jaw tension. My jaw clenches a lot. I have a lot of headaches. I have a lot of back pain. Or some people will say, I live in my head, kind of like you're saying, it's in the head, and I can't feel my body. A lot of times I ask people, do body scans, see where you're at, your feet, your legs, your hips, and they're not there. They're living from here up. And that's a trauma response. That's the body being disconnected from the trauma. So the trauma either hides in the body, kind of gets the tension going, or it causes you to leave your body. So then you're not really in your body. And you can see it with kids, interestingly, because sometimes when you ask a kid to draw themselves, and if there's trauma, they're gonna not draw certain parts of their body, because in their mind, they've left that part of the body. So the first building block for healing is connecting with the body. And that starts with something very simple, what we call body scan meditation. So even today when we began, I talked to you about, okay, let's follow imagine our mind and our body. Follow the feet, follow the ankles, all the way up. That helps your mind and your body to connect, to come fully online. Because until you do that, kind of like Trisha's mom said, what's your name? Jackie. Like Jackie said, the mind is here, the body's here, and they're not talking. So body scan meditation, keeping track of, even now as you're listening to me, just paying attention, okay, my feet, how do my feet feel? Do they feel heavy on the ground? Do they feel light? Am I putting all my weight on my feet? Is it mostly one leg or the other? It sounds very simple, but that's your way of inhabiting your body and connecting the mind and the body. What's interesting is that in the brain, there's actual map of the body. So your mind is always scanning what's going on in the body. And when you do this mind-body scan meditation, you're just kind of connecting the computer to the screen. You know, I had bad connection today, but that's what you're doing. It's something very simple. Something else that we also use, and I'm sure, I think Stacey will be talking about it too, is breathing. And breathing helps bring on the mind and the body together, because the nervous system, there is a big nerve called the vagus nerve that goes from different parts to the brain, from the brain to the heart and to the gut. So if you're able to breathe deep, deep into your belly, you're activating that big nerve, the vagus nerve. And so then you turn on what they call the parasympathetic response, the relaxed response, the rest and digest, the connect, the be with people. So body scan meditation is a way of bringing and connecting your mind to your body in the moment after you become aware that, hey, I'm not embodied. Breathing is another one that helps us to connect and bring online the parasympathetic response so that we are fully relaxed too. Something else that also helps us to connect is relationships. When we bring up even memories of somebody that we're close to, and imagining bringing them to our heart, it activates the nervous system to that parasympathetic kind of calmer response too. So visualization meditations or having pictures of your loved ones or your dog or your pet are a great way of doing that. If you're able to call your friend right there, that's great. But sometimes it's hard to do in the middle of the night, in the middle of a situation. But bringing back that memory, and not just the thought, but fully doing like we did at the beginning, fully breathing it in, imagining it going into your heart, imagining it going into your belly, all the way. Because the mind can't tell the difference between what's real and what's not real. That's how they sell us movies. You watch somebody on a horse and they fall off, you get scared, you jump. Your mind doesn't know that that's just a movie. So what we visualize to our brain, the brain takes it in. A lot of times we use words of affirmation, which is great, but it's important to connect it to images because the brain sees and stores information in image form. Words are part of it, but really it's images that we need in order to kind of fully install it and come back online too. Now, once we have been able to connect our mind and our body with these different practices, the next thing becomes, how do we change our relationship to ourselves and who we are? Because trauma affects that kind of relationship to ourselves. So when you think of a simple situation, let's just say in class you were supposed to give a talk and for some reason that didn't go well, or your computer didn't work. What kind of thoughts come to your mind? Just imagining, it doesn't mean that it happened to you, but what kind of thoughts come to your mind?
That you're a failure.
Yep, I'm a failure. That's a very common one, yeah. Yeah, frustration, yes. Anything else that comes up to your mind? Anxious. Fear. Yeah, fear keeps coming up, yes, yeah. So when the nervous system is in that kind of situation, what would be the core theme when you guys think about that kind of sense of fear, frustration, failure? Anything else that comes up? You're losing something. Confidence. Mm-hmm. And when we build confidence, how do we build confidence? By success, yeah. And getting that sense of, I got this. I have a good sense. I can control this. I am in control. I have a sense of agency. Because when we have that sense of agency, no matter what's thrown at me, I can handle it. That's empowering. That's where we come from. That's where we always want to be. In trauma, that sense of being in control, that I can navigate where my ship is going, I can decide what's going to happen to me, where I'm going, it's taken away. And that is the first thing that goes, so that in our mind, we start feeling, I'm helpless, I can't do that, it's not possible, I'm a failure. So then we lose that perspective of, wait a minute, I have a choice. So we start to live from a place of lack of choice. And that sounds very it's not very clear. But you have to examine your thoughts about that. So let's just say, sometimes when you're asked, what do you want to eat? And actually the majority of the room is women. Do I have any guys? 1 guy? 2? 3 guys? Okay, so maybe guys will not answer that very well. 4? No, 3. So when you ask a woman, what do you want to eat? What does the woman usually say? Let's hear it from the guys.
I don't care, whatever.
Yeah. And then the guys usually get frustrated.